should not depress people. They should inspire people.
Yes.
The environment is something that we all love. We all have a personal connection to the outdoors. We all love this planet and this globe that we live on. Let's embrace that. Let's make the most of it by bringing an inspirational approach to the environment and climate change, because it isn't about doom and gloom. It's not about telling people what to do. It's actually about equipping people with the best resources to be efficient and stewards of our planet.
Hey y'all, it's Becky here from the Beckosphere, where we talk about climate news and solutions. Today I wanted to do something slightly different. I've actually been wanting to do this for a little while. I want to see what things are being discussed involving the climate crisis on Fox News. I think it's important because a lot of people watch Fox News and they are influential to the Republican Party, and I think that the only way that we can build consensus on the climate issue is to understand how it's being perceived by Fox News. I just want to be clear that this is by far the most reasonable conversation about climate change that you will find on Fox News, because oftentimes they are still arguing with the scientific consensus of climate change's existence at all. They are really excited to see anyone that will say that climate change is not even an issue. So if you want to see more craziness on the side of Fox News, I'm happy to do videos responding to some of the more out there points, but I thought I would just start with a actual reasonable discussion from a more conservative perspective discussing climate change. We'll start with a more reasonable interview that's being done by Benji Backer. He is the founder of the American Conservative Coalition, and him and I actually have several things in common. One being that our name starts with B, if I go by Becky. Anyways, we're both blonde, and we're both young millennials that care about the climate crisis. And I have followed him on Twitter for a while, and I actually went to I don't know if it was led by the ACC or if it was led by another group, and the ACC and the other group are just very close. But I actually did attend a conservative climate conversation that was mostly meant for my age demographic. So I did a video even a while ago saying that conservative climate people do exist. So you can check out that video. That was one of the earlier videos that I did. But I think that it's interesting to hear what they have to say about the conversation, and frankly, how they talk about it in a way that gets them on Fox News. If that all sounds interesting to you, please consider subscribing to the channel, because I talk about a lot of climate news and deep dives and all that good stuff. So if that sounds interesting to you, then yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm looking at my laptop, which is right here. And I'll put a little, obviously I'll put the video and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this was done about 10 days ago, and let's go ahead and get into it.
But there is a clean, green energy solution. Nuclear power, which of course the Democrat geniuses are shutting down. Gavin Newsom is in the process of closing.
Wow, we haven't even gone to the interview yet, and I already want to talk. Okay, so why is it that the only thing that Republicans want to talk about for a clean energy solution is nuclear power? Why? First of all, they're choosing simply the most divisive clean energy form because people have problems with the waste side of things. I have spoken on nuclear several times. I'm personally, in my opinion, I think it's mostly a good clean form of energy. It doesn't create emissions, it does create waste, but there are waste disposal mechanisms, and future nuclear reactors are actually able to take that waste and reuse it. And it's also a form of consistent energy that doesn't rely on battery power or the whims of nature. So I think that it does have a place in the clean energy transition. But that being said, it should not be the only thing that is ever discussed on the right when it comes to when it comes to clean energy solutions. Honestly, if we want to move more on creating a more resilient grid, we should have more distributed form of energy solutions. So it should not just be nuclear. Also, nuclear takes a long time to build. And so we really don't have the time to build to only have nuclear. So we got to talk about more than just nuclear, just saying. And I'll get more into that in a bit.
California's last nuclear power station. I was once firmly against nuclear power, not so much on safety grounds, but because of the heavy government subsidies involved in dealing with nuclear waste.
Wait, so he was against nuclear power because of the heavy government subsidies? Shouldn't he hate fossil fuels then too? Because they get a lot of government subsidies.
Now it seems those problems are being solved. A new generation of nuclear power could provide fantastic opportunities for American innovation and jobs, not to mention a completely reliable and completely carbon-free form of power generation. And now we're seeing examples of just how effective nuclear power can be. In the town of Kemmerer, Wyoming, for example, a brand new nuclear power station is replacing a coal-fired power plant that was forced to close, creating thousands of jobs and many, many new opportunities for the town and the whole state. It is a win for the environment and a win for American workers in the heartland. This project, and more like it, is the kind of energy revolution we need. And it's the kind of thing I was writing about in a new piece on the Fox News website, which is all about how Republicans can actually take the lead on the environment and turn it into a political winner in the elections later this year. Joining me now is the co-author with me of that obviously brilliant article, founder and president of the American Conservation Coalition, Benji Backer. Great to see you, Benji. So tell us why...
I know, but Benji has such a great name. I'm sorry. His parents were great. Benji Backer. It just flows. It just flows really well.
Do you think this is a political opportunity for Republicans?
Well, it's a huge political opportunity here because just like about a century ago when Teddy Roosevelt was told that he had to choose between preservation and economic exploitation, we have an opportunity to choose not between the Green New Deal and inaction, but a third path forward, just like Teddy Roosevelt did. He chose...
Wait, didn't Teddy Roosevelt do the New Deal that the Green New Deal is playing off of? Wouldn't he agree with the Green New Deal then?
Conservation and popularize that term. And we can popularize our own agenda that is balanced between economic stewardship and environmental stewardship. That's the conservative way. And we have an opportunity to do that because young people like myself are sick of the divide between Green New Deal and inaction. And we want...
Okay, we're sick of the divide between the parties on an issue that should not be politicized. I guess you could say that the Green New Deal is a politicized left-wing version of a climate solution. But I think why a lot of people like the Green New Deal is because it recognizes that there are a lot of things within the climate movement that intertwine with a lot of other issues that we have in society. And so only tackling the climate crisis as if it's not interconnected in a larger systemic set of issues, I think it kind of misses the point, but it would be really nice if the issues were disconnected.
A balanced approach forward, and that's what America does best. We just need to pursue it.
So it's interesting. I completely agree with you, and I was proud to write that piece with you. But a lot of people, a lot of conservatives and Republicans, the minute you even say the word climate, it's almost got so tainted by the Democrats and the extremist way they go on about it, that even just by saying the word climate, you put people off. Have you encountered that, and what's the solution?
Absolutely. I mean, look, climate change has been a polarized topic for now over 2 decades, and it's been taken by the left wing as a political issue that they can win elections on.
Like, I get that, honestly, this rhetoric, you have to talk like this in order to be on Fox News. You really do have to demonize the left in order to be on Fox News. But it frustrates me that because the left has taken the issue seriously, that suddenly it's them making it extreme. I don't think that the left took it over and was like, no, you can't have it, it's mine. That's not how it happened. It's just frustrating.
But that doesn't mean that there aren't issues that we need to solve with our environment and that maybe they've just gone the wrong way. Look, a balanced approach is the best way forward. And if you look at what Americans want, we want clean air, we want clean water, we want American energy independence. But we should also want that to be American-led and done in a way that is good for the environment and good for the economy. And that doesn't mean that we have to forego our values to engage on this issue. That actually is the opposite. If this issue of climate change has been stolen by the left to win political...
Okay, I don't like the word stolen, but everything else I completely agreed with. Like, it shouldn't have to compromise your values. It's not something that you're losing things on. You might have to change your lifestyle. I mean, that's just understandable with our level of consumption. It's kind of insane that we thought that we would be able to just keep going as is. That also could therefore be an argument that we kind of need to change our economic style, because our economic style relies heavily on economic growth and constant growth in consumption, which is not sustainable. So again, I don't think it's necessarily realistic to think that we can solve the problem without changing things. But I also don't think that it means that people have to lose their livelihoods or lose any sense of normalcy, you know, like things need to change, but I don't think that it means that people have to feel an immense sense of loss. There should be an immense sense of gain from the transition if it's done correctly, which I don't think that the Green New Deal is not correct with it. But anyways.
Let's take that back and make it our own topic that we not only win elections on, but also create better policies for the heartland and the coasts. Where I grew up in the heartland, this is the type of area in Wisconsin where these farmers and ranchers need to have a conservative approach, and we need that across the country.
Yeah.
I would love to see them take it seriously and propose reasonable counter choices to the left's choices, because right now it really is a one-sided argument because only one side has actually proposed a reasonable set of solutions, in my opinion. So if we come up with reasonable counter arguments, then I am here for that.
So right about that, because when you talk about the specifics, that's another thing. You know, you get into it and all you hear from the left are these things that really annoy people. You're going to have to stop driving your car. We're going to make you have an electric car. You're going to have all...
Wait. Those two are counterintuitive. You have to stop driving your car, but you have to have an electric car. Which is it? Are we supposed to have a car or not have a car? Yeah, one of the lifestyle changes that we should consider is using less personal transportation. Now, that's not all necessarily up to individuals like us to be able to change that, because in a lot of places, particularly in the US, there's not really good public transportation or infrastructure for non-motorized vehicles for that to be an option for people. I don't really have much option to be able to drive to get to my parents' house if I don't take my own car. That's not necessarily my fault for not being able to choose an alternative form of transportation. It's up to cities and governments and industries to make that change. The left isn't trying to say that they're taking things away from people by saying you can't drive or you have to have an electric car. It's a lifestyle change that should be made, but it also should be supported by industries and governments to make it easier for people to transition.
Drive Teslas or whatever, much more expensive. We're going to stop you cooking with gas.
You should stop cooking with gas. But again, that's not an individual's choice all the time. If you own a house and you have the means to be able to switch, you absolutely should switch to electrification, because new research did come out recently showing that even turned off gas appliances still leak methane, which is a more potent greenhouse gas than CO2. So he's only talking about things that should go away. That's a common argument, is that you're going to lose this, you're going to not be able to do this, you can't do this. Like, they're saying all these things that you can't do. Okay, well, what about all the things you can do, all the things that will benefit you? For example, electric heaters are more efficient than gas-powered heaters. They will warm up faster. Being able to reduce the amount of local air pollution that you have in your area by not having gas or wood burning heaters is very useful for people. And imagining a world where there's more public transportation and more options on how to get from point A to point B, that's just going to benefit a lot of people. It's going to make it easier and have more accommodations, you know? I would love to be able to come home from the bars after drinking and not have to worry about my ride. Simple as that.
All the things that you hear end up sounding just like punitive and more expensive.
You make it sound that way.
Exactly, and environmental issues should not depress people, they should inspire people.
Yes.
The environment is something that we all love. We all have a personal connection to the outdoors. We all love this planet and this globe that we live on. Let's embrace that. Let's make the most of it by bringing an inspirational approach to the environment and climate change, because it isn't about doom and gloom. It's not about telling people what to do. It's actually about equipping people with the best resources to be efficient and stewards of our planet. That is totally different depending on where you live, how you live, and what country you live in, let alone what state or what city you live in. So
I do agree with that as well. And I understand from the leave government out of it sort of side that having a fully government overhaul approach might not be the best way to handle the nuances of living in different areas and living in different situations, which is why it's really important that we tackle it from both a large government side to a community and local government side as well, and also industries. All of those things need to be tackled. It's not an either or in any sense of the word. All of these things need to come together to solve the problem effectively. So I completely agree with Benji on these points.
this is something that we, again, have been on this false dichotomy that there's inaction or the Green New Deal, and that's bad for our environment and it's bad for our economy. So let me say this, and you heard it here first, this is the year that conservatives can and will retake the environmental dialogue, because we've led it before and we can lead it again.
And I really, really love the way you put that. I think you're completely right. And what's been really inspiring watching you is the way you've built allies around this. And, you know, thoroughly conservative leaders, like I'm thinking of Ron DeSantis, who you've worked with, for example, in Florida, who's really leading on this, the mayor of Miami.
See, okay, this is where I have a problem, because a lot of, and this is just my personal perspective, but I am concerned a little bit if they choose to move on the environmental argument, that a lot of the other concerning points that a lot of certain politicians have are going to just kind of fly by under the radar, because now they're talking about the environment. I'm also concerned that they're not going to handle the situation well, and that they're going to do it in a questionable manner. But prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. I would love to see some very interesting shifts in the Conservative Party to move towards a more environmentally conscious perspective on both sides, because this issue should not be politicized.
We appreciate that and you joining us tonight. Thank you, Benji.
I really did. I enjoyed Benji's conversation. Obviously, I had some little points where we don't necessarily agree eye to eye on, but I'm excited to see him talk more on Fox News, because I think that he actually provides a reasonable perspective, which is hard to find on that channel. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next time. Thank you to the people on Patreon who help me pay for my equipment, and the many new subscriptions that make these climate recaps possible. A special shout out to the climate confident and courageous David H., Norman Anal, Greg H., and Paul B. I greatly appreciate your support. If you would like to support the work I do, please check out the Patreon link in the description below, or the Buy Me a Cup of Coffee link. Until next time, remember to talk about the climate crisis every single day and to support your local news organizations. Bye.